So hello everyone, in this video we'll be starting a new chapter in JavaScript DOM, which is DOM selectors. In this we'll be learning how we can select different HTML elements by using some DOM selectors. So let's start the lesson. Selecting DOM elements in JavaScript. JavaScript is most commonly used to get or modify the content or value of the HTML elements on the page, as well as to apply some effects like show, hide, animations, etc. But before you can perform any action, you need to find or select the target HTML element. So basically we can do many things with JavaScript. We can show, hide, or we can add some own styling as well. But for that, we need to select that element. So that's why we'll be learning how we can select the elements or what are the ways to select elements in JavaScript. Selecting the topmost elements. The topmost elements in an HTML document are available directly as document properties. For example, the HTML element can be accessed with document element property. So by this we can actually get the HTML element and we can style or apply any kind of styling on HTML element. Whereas the head element can be accessed with the document.head property, and the body element can be accessed with document.body property. Here's an example. You can see that we are adding or we are getting the attribute, which is this lang attribute. We are getting that value from this get attribute method. But before that, we are actually selecting document element, which is the way by which we can actually get this HTML element accessed, or we can select this HTML element. You can see that document element, which is nothing but the HTML, and then we are applying this method, which is to get attribute, and we'll be returning the value of this lang attribute, so which is en. We can also access this document.body, or we can select this document.body element, which is this one, and we can also add some styling or our own CSS styling by JavaScript. You can see that we added this by .style.background property, and we change that to yellow. By this our body will be completely yellow in color. Similarly, we also printed this one or as add an alert in document.head first element child.node_name. So this will actually give us the items or the head elements first node or element name, which is meta. So this way we can access head element. So document.head, document.body, and document.document element. So these are some three ways or to access the topmost elements. We just need to add this document property and then or this document object, and then we can use the properties assigned to them for accessing different top level elements. But be careful, if document.body is used before the body tag inside the head, for example, it will return null instead of the body element, because the point at which the script is executed, the body tag was not passed by the browser. So document.body is truly null at that point. So that's why I suggest you that you always add the script tag at the end of the body, because at that time all the elements will be loaded or passed by the browser, so we'll not have any issue when selecting any element. So this way you can select any element which is already passed by the browser. If you use this document.body before the body tag, so it will definitely give you an error that document.body doesn't exist. So that's why we should not use this property or access the elements before it is actually passed. So remember, HTML or the browser loads the file line by line, so you have to add this script tag at the end. So that's why we should remember this. Now you can see in this it is adding this document.body at the start or in the head of the HTML page. So it will load this HTML first or this JavaScript first before this HTML. At that time it will give you null. you can see that it is giving us null. Why is that? Because while we are loading this, or while we are actually executing this JavaScript, at that time body is not passed by the browser, so body is not yet loaded. That's why it is giving us the false value or the null value. But after body is loaded successfully, now we can write our script, the same script, and now we can get the HTML body element by this document.body selector. So remember, you have to use a script tag or selecting elements. You have to select the elements when that element is passed by the browser. So you have to use it at the end always. You can select an element based on its unique ID with the get element by ID method, which is a method that we can use to get the element by their ID. This is the easiest way to find an HTML element in the DOM tree. So the following example selects, we can see the following example. You can see we have this p tag which has this ID attributes associated, which is mark, and we want to access this p tag. So how can we access this element? So it is very easy. We can just use the document dot get element by ID method. This method will allow us to get any element in the body that has an ID. So we can pass the ID in the bracket or in the method. For example, in this case, we added this mark ID, which is the value of the ID. Then it will get that element, this p tag, and store that inside this match variable. Now we can use this match variable or this match element now to style it, or to any kind of operation we want to apply on this p tag. We can change the attribute, we can do a lot of things that we'll be learning in the future videos, that how we can do more things in JavaScript. Till now he just added this style in the background, which is nothing but the background color yellow. So this was one way to add the, or to select the elements by their IDs by using get element by ID. We just need to pass the element ID. The get element by ID method will return the element as an object if the matching element was found, or null if no matching element was found in the document. So it will return null if nothing is there or this ID doesn't exist in the body. Similarly, we have another method which is get elements by class name, which selects all the elements having specific class names. So if we want to select elements which are having the same classes, so at that time we'll be using this get elements by class name method. This method returns an array like object of all child elements which have all of the given class names. Let's check out the example. You can see we have this two elements, which one is this p tag, the second one is this div tag, both of them having a test and test ID, oh sorry, the class. Now if I want to select this p tag or this div tag, so I can easily select it by using this get elements by class name. So this will select all the elements which are having this class, which is test. So it will get all the elements and store them in this matches as an array. So now if I print the length of that array, matches.length, so it will give us 2 because there are two elements which are having this test class. Now if I access the first element, or the element has a 0 index, and if I add a style and if I increase the font weight, so it will apply that styling to the first element or to this first p tag which is having this test class. So remember, this get elements by class name always returns an array. So you have to remember that if there are multiple elements inside that, so it will be accessed by this indexing option. So we can specify the index and apply the styling or whatever we want to apply on that element. So you have to remember that. But in the case of get element by ID, it returns an object or a single object of that element. But in this case, it is returning an array of elements as an object. So now we can access this by using this square bracket and the index. Similarly, we can access the last element by using this matches.length minus 1. So total length minus 1 will be the last index of the matches array or the array. So it will actually select the last element in the array, and we can style that element by using this. So also we can style all of the elements by using a for loop. We remember this syntax from the last video or previous videos, that how we can access all the elements by using this for in loop, which is where lm is the object we'll be getting in the array or from the array. In is a keyword which allows us to specify the array, so we can specify this array now. Now lm is an index now, and we can use this index to get the element from the array, and we can access the style property, and then we can assign any kind of style here. So this way you can style all the elements which are having inside this, all the elements which are selected by this get elements by class name. So this was the thing. We can select elements by their class's name, and we can store them as an array. You can also select HTML elements by tag name using get elements by tag name. So we can select directly by tag as well. This method also returns an array like object of all child elements with the given tag name. So it is just like similar to this get elements by class name, but it will select all the tag name which we specify. For example, if we specify p tag in here or just p in get elements by tag name, so it will get all the elements or all the p tag saved inside this matches variable as an array. Now if I just count the length, so it will be total length, how many p tags in our body is presented. Now we can similarly style it as well, because it is also an array of elements, so we can similarly style it just like we did for the class, just like we did here. Similarly, we can style it by using this for in loop. We can style the background or any kind of styling we can apply. So this is another way of selecting elements by their tag name. So if you want to select the elements by their tag name, so you can simply write the tag name here and use this method get elements by tag name. You can use the query selector all method to select elements that matches the specified CSS selector. CSS selectors provide a very powerful and efficient way of selecting HTML elements in a document. So basically we also have one more method, which is query selector all, which allows us to select all the elements which are having a specific CSS selector. Just like while using CSS, we use CSS selectors. So we use element selector, we use class selector, we use ID selector, we use attribute selector. So all these selectors can be used in this query selector just like CSS, and we can select all those elements and store them in an array, and we can do a lot of things there, whatever we want to do actually. This method returns a list of all the elements that matches the specified selectors. You can examine it just like in any array. You can see the example now. So you can see we are using this descendant selector just like we do in the CSS. We access the elements or the li, ul space li. So this is a CSS selector, and this CSS selector is used in this query selector all method. Now we are using this method to select all the li elements which are inside this ul tag. So basically it is for that. Now we'll be selecting all those elements and storing that inside the matches as an array. Now it will be treated like an array just like the previous examples, and we can directly style all of the elements, or we can do any type of operation by using for off loop or for in loop. Similarly, we can add any in this way it is also selecting all the li tag which are having this tick class. So this way we are using descendant selector again, but we are also specifying the class name, and we can also style them by any property or anything. So this way we can also select elements by using CSS selectors. We'll be actually working on all these selectors practically in the next video. We are just grabbing the idea first. So let's meet the next one. We also have this query selector method. So this was the query selector all. We also have this query selector method that also does the same thing, but it returns only the first element or first matching element. It will not return you the complete array, but a single element or a single object. So that is query selector, not query selector all. So this was other method, and there is also another method which is query selector. So that will be working on in the next video practically. So let's meet in the next video. Also, you can connect with our JavaScript experts, developers, and tutors and get your development project built, assignment completed, or mentor guidance. You can reach out to us via contact@codersarts.com if you have any kind of issue in JavaScript. So thank you for watching. Let's meet in the another one.